Thursday evening greetings and welcome to Prime Time News. I'm Michael Madimba. As per usual, if it's your first time joining us, please subscribe, hit the like button, and be sure to click the bell icon to stay updated with the latest happenings locally and internationally. Leading the bulletin tonight, President Dr. Hage Geingob has extended a message of condolences to the family of former cabinet member Alpheus Muhewa, who passed away on Wednesday. From Swakopmund, Isabel Bento compiled our first report.
The politician, who was 65 years old, died in a Swakopmund hospital. The late Muhewa served as Deputy Minister of Labour and Social Welfare and previously also held the position of President of the National Union of Namibian Workers. Geingob in a statement said he has learned with sadness about the passing of Comrade Alpheus Muhewa, a committed patriot who served the country with dedication and distinction until he fell ill on the 7th of February 2018. He added that he worked with Muhewa for many years. The president noted that he was always reliable, hardworking, affable, and pleasant to work with, stressing that it is not only SWAPO that lost a cadre, but Namibia has lost an upstanding citizen. Reporting for Nampa News, I am Sawi Hausiku.
Now, moving on to politics. The Landless People's Movement LPM says it is facing infiltration by dark forces, hoping to capture power with the aim of dismantling it as a formidable force in the political arena. Edward Mumbu Jr. compiled this insert.
We don't have a list of people. It's a small organization. We don't have a list of people that will be patched. That is a lie. There is not even such a thing in existence. These are the evil people maybe that are giving such information. Mayor of Marindal has done nothing wrong. Why should we just wake up and say tomorrow we are patching Tuminga Ndala? And what has she done? Nothing. We don't have any problem since we replaced the other two councillors in Marindal Town Council. In fact, at the Getman Swap meeting, they gave one of the best report. And he is also the chairperson of the Mayors and Chairpersons Forum. And they gave a nice report in Getman Swap. So I don't understand who is spreading really such malicious lies. There is nothing wrong with the mayor of Marindal. He is still in office. Nobody, in fact, normally when people are performing, we don't call them every day and what. You can ask when last, if I even communicated with him, except in Getman Swap. Because they are good. Where we only follow up is that where the councils and the local authorities, some of the councillors are misbehaving, like the one that we removed in Malta here and so on. So when we hear maybe a decision at the council is not good, we go and intervene with advice and so on. So there is nothing wrong with him. If we maybe find something wrong with him, as the sources are saying, then we must have a problem with all four councillors, not with one only. If it is council related, no, then it must be all four. So that one is a blatant lie. The one of Gergie Gerrit Witbooi, again, there is no such a thing. It's even difficult to remove a regional councillor. Do you know that? You have to have how many signatures were. But so far, Gergie is doing a good job there. There is no problem. All our regional councillors, that's why we are getting them into the Political Action Committee, all 12 of them, so that we have direct access to each other.
On to education matters. Education Minister Anangi Pondoka says the introduction of the universal primary and secondary education grants did not negate the moral obligation and responsibilities of parents or guardians towards their children attending school. Erasmus Shalihakwe compiled this report.
In the year 2021-2022 financial year, 51,339,383 Namibian dollars was made available to regions for the procurement of stationery. These funds made provision of 100 for every pre-primary and primary learner and 150 for every secondary learner, and the ministry has maintained that allocation per learner over the years. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members, from the above elaboration, it is clear that the government, through the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, makes money available to ensure free access to education by all Namibian learners. The reality on the ground is that the allocated money is not really enough to cater for all the needs as planned.
Minister of Urban and Rural Development Erastus Sutoni says the high cost of land servicing as well as the lethargic implementation of housing delivery have caused the annual housing production to be a drop in the ocean. Once more, Erasmus Shalihakwe compiled this insert.
Utoni made these remarks on Wednesday during a stakeholders consultative workshop for the revision of the National Housing Policy and the development of the National Strategy for Informal Settlement Upgrading in Windhoek. He said the slow pace and cost of land servicing, capacity shortages at all levels of implementation, coupled with high input costs in the informal housing sector, result in a low annual housing output, while the larger crisis of affordability is compounded by the continued economic downturn and fiscal constraint, further exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Utoni said government's commitment towards increasing opportunities for and scaling up the provision of affordable urban land and housing and access to proper sanitation has been re-emphasized, seeking to consolidate and expand the gains made in achieving the Harambee Prosperity Plan social progression pillar targets. He stated that long-standing government initiatives have yielded some results, such as the Mass Housing Development Program launched under the leadership of former President Hifikepunye Pohamba in November 2013 as an intervention aimed at reducing the housing backlog in the country. He added that despite positive initiatives, the challenges of affordability and scale remain formidable, while the government is expected to take the lead in creating the enabling environment towards the resilience of the Harambee Prosperity Plan 2 and the National Development Plan targets, as well as the larger Vision 2030.
Your top roundup is up next. Moving on to the business and economic segment. The Agricultural Bank of Namibia, Agribank, at the beginning of February hosted a training session in the Kairos region for women and youth as part of its agri-advisory services. Shelva Wills compiled this report.
Agribank, in a media statement on Wednesday, said the training took place between the 1st and the 9th of February and covered topics such as farm management planning, rangeland management, small stock management, crop production, piggery, and poultry production. It was held in Keetmanshoop, Aroeb, Kwes, and Berseba, with more than 30 women and youth attending each session. The statement said the goal of the training is to provide farming communities with skills that increase productivity while also considering climate resilience through diverse farming practices. It further noted that all farmers, both clients and non-clients, can benefit from the training, which aims to strengthen farmers' skill set knowledge and attitude toward farming through theory-based learning and practical demonstrations. It read, this week, training is being held in the Erongo region, covering the towns of Walvis Bay and Swakopmund from the 15th to the 17th of February 2022. Selima Shimwefeleni reporting for Nampa News.
Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Kawakap on Wednesday said Namibia's overall domestic economic activity recovered in 2021 compared to 2020 and is expected to grow around 3% in 2022.
Overall, economic activity in Namibia recovered in 2021 compared to 2020. The increase in economic activity was observed in major sectors such as mining, wholesale and retail trade, communication, and tourism. On the contrary, activity in construction, manufacturing and transport sectors, as well as the number of cattle marketed, slowed over the same period. Going forward, the domestic economy is expected to grow between 3.3 and 3.5% in 2022. Risks to the domestic economic outlook in the medium term remain sudden surges in COVID-19 cases and vaccine hesitancy. Annual average inflation increased to 3.6% in 2021 compared to 2.2% the previous year. The increase in inflation was mainly driven by higher prices for the food, transport, and housing categories. This was on account of supply constraints for certain food categories, a rise in international oil prices, and an increase in dwelling rent, respectively.
With the business segment, we've rounded up the top news segment for this evening. Stay tuned for the economics roundup, followed by the weather forecast.
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sport on Sport Planet. With me, Joy Gosses. We begin the segment with local football. The Namibia Football Association has cautioned clubs affiliated to the Namibia Premier Football League not to maintain any relations of a sporting nature with entities that are not recognized or with members that have been suspended or expelled. Marco Ndlovu, our sports journalist, compiled this insert.
In a letter written by the Namibia Football Association Secretary General Franco Cosmos and seen by the Namibia Press Agency, the Namibia Football Association said should any of the member clubs decide to join the Namibia Premier League, they should resign from the Namibia Football Association. The warning comes after the Namibia Premier League wrote a letter to 36 clubs from the 3 First Division streams asking them to indicate their interest in continuing as members of the organization. The warning was issued according to the Namibia Football Association Status Article 13.1, the Namibia Football Association said. The letter also invited Chiefs Santos, Civics, Orlando Pirates, Rundu Chiefs, Young African and Young Chiefs, Tigers, Julinho and Mighty Gunners were asked to indicate their positions with regards to their Namibia Premier League status. The Namibia Premier League gave the clubs until the 22nd of February to show their interest. It invited these clubs to indicate their interest in being members of the National First Division. In response to the warning through a letter earlier today, the Namibia Premier League said the Namibia Football Association motive is to intimidate unsuspecting clubs and cause confusion.
Moving on to the world of Formula One. Formula One motorsport executive Ross Brawn believes Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes team could be off the pace when the new season starts. Let's get to know why from DBA.
Hamilton's toxic championship battle with Red Bull rival Max Verstappen went down to the wire last year, and Brawn, who has spearheaded a massive overhaul of the sport's technical regulations, says Mercedes, winners of the past 8 Constructors' Championships, and Red Bull might have taken their eyes off the ball. Hamilton's gripping title tussle with Verstappen contributed to one of the sport's greatest seasons, and there is a possibility that the F1's rulebook rewrite could avoid a second chapter. The 37-year-old Hamilton will speak in public for the first time since his title defeat in Abu Dhabi, when he appears at Mercedes' Silverstone car launch on Friday. The 7-time world champion is set to drive his new Silver Arrows at the opening test in Barcelona next week, ahead of the first race in Bahrain on the 20th of March.
Your sports roundup is up next. We have come to the end of tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you for joining us. Another reminder that if you are new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share, and click on the notifications bell to stay posted on the freshest happenings locally and internationally. Feel free to add your comments as well in the comment section. Catch us tomorrow for another edition of Primetime News. From myself, Joy Gorses, and the entire production crew, it's good night